The Art of Love by Ovid. Book 1. Should anyone here in Rome lack finesse at love-making, let him try me. Read my book, and results are guaranteed. Technique is the secret. Charioteer, sailor, oarsman, all need it. Technique can control love himself. As Automedon was charioteer to Achilles, and Typhus Jason's steersman, so I, by Venus's appointment, am made love's artificer, shall be known as the Typhus, the very Automedon of love. He's a wild handful, will often rebel against me, but still just a child, malleable, easily disciplined. Chiron made young Achilles a fine musician, hammered that fierce heart on the anvil of peaceful artistry. So this future terror to a friend and foe alike went in awe, it said, of his elderly teacher, at whose bidding the hand that in after time bore down Hector was held out for the cause. As Chiron taught Achilles, so I am love's preceptor. Wild boys both goddess-born, and yet even bulls can be broken to plow, or spirited horses subdued with bridle and bit. So love shall likewise own my mastery, though his bowshot skewer my breast, though his torch flicker and sear me. The worse the wounds, the deeper the branding, that much keener I to avenge such outrage. Nor shall I falsely ascribe my arts to Apollo. No airy bird comes twittering advice into my ear. I never had a vision of the Muses herding sheep in Asker's valleys. This work is based on experience. What I write, believe me, I have practiced. My poem will deal in truth. Aid my enterprise, Venus. Respectable ladies, the kinds who wear hairbands and ankle-length skirts, are hereby warned off. Safe love, legitimate liaisons, will be my theme. This poem breaks no taboos. First, then, you fledgling troopers in passion's service, comes the task of finding an object for your love. Next, you must labor to woo and win your lady. Thirdly, ensure that the affair will last. Such are my limitations, such the ground I will cover, the race I propose to run. While you are fancy-free still, and can drive at leisure, pick a girl, tell her, you're the one I love, and only you. But this search means using your eyes. A mistress won't drop out of the sky at your feet. A hunter's skilled where to spread his nets for the stag, senses in which glen the wild boar lurks. A fowler's familiar with copses. An expert angler knows the richest shoaling grounds for fish. You too, so keen to establish some long-term relationship, must learn first where girl is to be found. Your search need not take you, believe me, on an overseas voyage. A short enough trek will bring you to your goal. True, Perseus fetched home Andromeda from the colored Indies, while Phrygian Paris abducted Helen in Greece. But Rome can boast of so many and such dazzling beauties, you'd swear the whole world's talent was gathered here. The girls of your city outnumber Gargara's wheat sheaves, Methymna's grape clusters, all birds on the bough, stars in the sky, fish in the ocean. Venus indeed still haunts her son Aeneas's foundation. If you like budding adolescents, any number of guaranteed maidens are here to delight your roving eye. You prefer young women? They'll charm you by the thousand. You won't know which to choose. And if you happen to fancy a more mature, experienced age group, believe me, they show up in droves. Here's what to do. When the sun's on the back of Hercules' lion, stroll down some shady colonnade. Pompeii's, say, or Octavia's, for her dead son Marcellus, extravagant marble facings, rest in peace. Or Livia's, with its gallery of genuine old masters. Or the Danaides' portico. Note the artwork, Danaus's daughters plotting mischief for their cousins, father attitudinizing with drawn sword. Don't miss the shrine of Adonis, mourned by Venus, or the synagogue, Syrian Jews worship there each Sabbath, or the linen-clad heifer goddess's Memphian temple. Io makes many a maid what she was to Jove. The very courts are hunting grounds for passion. Amid lawyers' rebuttals, love will often be found. Here, where under Venus's marble temple the Appian fountain pulses its jets high in the air, your jurisconsulate's entrapped by love's beguilements. Counsel to others, he cannot advise himself. Here, all too often, words fail the most eloquent pleader, and a new sort of case comes on, his own. He must defend himself for a change, while Venus, in her nearby temple, snickers at this reversal of roles. But the theater's curving tiers should form your favorite hunting ground. Here you're sure to find the richest returns, be your wish for lover or playmate, a one-night stand or a permanent affair. As ants hurry to and fro in column, mandibles clutching grains of wheat, their regular diet, as bees haunt fragrant pastures, and meadows, hovering over the thyme, flitting from flower to flower, so our fashionable ladies swarm to the games in such crowds. I often can't decide which I like. As spectators they come to be inspected. Chaste modesty doesn't stand a chance. Such incidents at the games go back to Romulus, men without women, Sabine rape. No marble theater then, no awnings, no perfumed saffron to spray the stage red. The Palatine woods supplied a leafy backdrop, nature's scenery, untouched by art. While the tiers of seats were plain turf, and spectators shaded their shaggy heads with leaves. Urgently brooding in silence, the men kept glancing about them, each marking his choice among the girls. To the skirl of Etruscan flute's rough triple rhythm, the dancers stamped and turned. Amid cheers, applause then lacked discrimination. The king gave the sign for which they'd so eagerly watched. Project Rape was on. Up they sprang then with a lusty roar, laid hot hands on the girls. As timorous doves flee eagles, as a lambkin runs when it sees the hated wolf, so this wild charge of men left the girls all panic-stricken. Not one had the same color in her cheeks as before, the same nightmare for all, though terror's features varied. Some tore their hair, some just froze where they sat, some, dismayed, kept silence, others vainly yelled for mama. Some wailed, some gaped, some fled, some just stood there. So they were carried off as marriage bed plunder. Even so, many contrived to make panic look fetching. Any girl who resisted her pursuer too vigorously would find herself picked up and borne off regardless. Why spoil those pretty eyes with weeping, she'd hear. I'll be all to you that your dad ever was to your mum. You alone found the proper bounty for soldiers, Romulus. Give me that, and I'll join up myself. Ever since that day, by hallowed custom, our theaters have always held dangers for pretty girls. Don't forget the races either. The spacious circus offers chances galore. No need here of private finger talk or secret signals, nods conveying messages. You'll sit right beside your mistress, without let or hindrance. So be sure to press against her wherever you can. An easy task. The seating divisions restrict her. Regulations facilitate contact. Now find some excuse to engage in friendly conversation. Casual small talk at first. Ask, with a show of interest, whose are those horses just coming past? Find out her favorite. Back it yourself. When the long procession of ivory deities approaches, be sure you give a big hand to Lady Venus. If some dust should settle in your girl's lap, flick it away with your fingers. And if there's no dust, still flick away nothing. Let any excuse serve to prove your zeal. If her cloak's trailing, gather it up. Make a great business of rescuing it from the dirt. Instant reward for your gallantry, a licensed peep at delectable ankles, and more. Keep an eye on whoever may be sitting behind you. Don't let him rub his knee against her smooth back. Light minds are captivated by trifles. Plumping out a cushion can often help, or fanning the lady, or slipping a little footstool under her dainty feet. Such approaches will the circus afford to a new courtship. Such, too, the crowded forum with its grim sanded arena, where Cupid's a regular contestant, where the blood and guts fancier gets bloodied himself. While he's chatting and touching her hand and checking the program, and anxious once he's placed his bet to know which contestant will win, the winged steel has transfixed him. He groans at the wound, becomes part of the show he was watching. When Caesar lately staged that naval mock battle between Persians and Greeks. Young men and girls converged from East Coast and West. The whole wide world was packed into Rome. With such a throng, who could fail to find what caught his fancy? Many a man was singed by some foreign flame. Now Caesar is planning to fill in the final gaps of empire. Now the furthest east will be ours. Revenge fall on Parthia, Joy lighten the grave of Crassus. Redeem the standards profaned by barbarian hands. The Avenger's prepared, proclaims his captaincy, though of green years, embraces a war no boy, no other boy, could direct. Why cravenly reckon the age of a god? These Caesars come to courage young. The surge of heavenly spirit outstrips mere calendars, takes mean delays ill. A mere babe was Hercules when he strangled those two serpents. Even in the cradle he proved worthy of Jove. And you, Bacchus, still a youth, what age were you when conquered India bowed before your rod? With the years and luck of your father, boy, you'll win this campaign. With his years and luck you'll win. Such a debut befits so great a name. Today prince of the youths, tomorrow of their seniors. Since you have brothers, avenge these brothers' insults. Since a father is yours, uphold a father's rights. Your father, your country's father, has armed you for battle. Your enemy has wrested his kingdom from a reluctant sire. Your righteous javelins shall match his treacherous arrows. Your righteous javelins, justice and right shall march before your banners. May those lost cause Parthians likewise lose every fight. May my prince bring the wealth of the East back home. Mars and Caesar, one god to be. Endow him with your paternal powers as he sets forth. I prophesy victory for you. Vow a song in your honor. Will extol you with loud praise. You'll stand and exhort your troops in words I have written. May my words, I pray, not fall short of your valor. I'll speak of Parthian backs, of Roman courage, of the shafts discharged by the foe. As he retreats on horseback, if a Parthian flees to conquer, what's left him for defeat? That's a bad omen for warfare already. The day will come, most splendid of beings, when you'll ride in gold behind 4 snow-white steeds, preceded by captive chieftains, fetters about their necks to prevent the flight that brought them safety before. Cheering youths will look on, and girls beside them. A day to make every heart run wild for joy. And when some girl inquires the names of the monarchs, or the towns, rivers, hills, portrayed on the floats, answer all her questions. Don't draw the line at questions only. Pretend you know, even when you don't. Here comes Euphrates, tell her, with reed-fringed brow. Those dark blue tresses belong to the Tigris, I fancy. There go Armenians, that's Persia, and that, is some upland Achaemenid city. Both those men there are generals. Give the names if you know them. If not, invent. Banquets, too, give you an entree. Offer more to the palate than wine. Their flushed love has often clasped the horns of reclining Bacchus in a seductive embrace. And when wine has sodden Cupid's bibulous pinions, he's grounded, too sluggish for the sport he's begun. Still, it takes him no time to shake out of his damp plumage. But if love merely brushes the breast, you're wounded, it hurts. Wine rouses the heart, inclines to passion. Heavy drinking dilutes and banishes care in a sea of laughter, gives the poor man self-confidence, smooths out wrinkles, puts paid to pain and sorrow. Then our age's rarest endowment, simplicity, opens all hearts as the god dissipates guile. Men's minds have often been enchanted by girls at such times. Ah, Venus in the wine is fire within fire. Night and drink can impair your eye for beauty. Don't trust the lamplight too much. It's deceptive. When Paris examined those goddesses, when he said, "You, beat them both, Venus," he did it in broad daylight. But darkness hides faults. Each blemish is forgiven. Any woman you name will pass as a beauty at night. Judge jewels or fine fabrics, a face or a figure, by day. How list every female resort with prospects for the hunter? Sand grains are fewer. Why tell of Baiae with its yacht-fringed beaches and hot sulphurous thermal baths? I met one tourist who came back home from there with a nasty hole in his heart, said the waters weren't half as healthy as the resort made out. Then there's Diana's woodland shrine, not far from the city, with its murderous slave priest. Diana's a virgin, detests the shafts of Cupid. That's why people go into the woods. Always get hurt, always will. So far, my elegiacs have taught you which coverts to draw, where to spread your erotic nets. What follows is more subtly artistic, how to snare the girl of your choice. All you gallants, mark and attend now, and you, the common people, encourage my task with a thumbs up. The first thing to get in your head is that every single girl can be caught, and that you'll catch her if you set your toils right. Birds will sooner fall dumb in springtime, cicadas in summer, or a hunting dog turn his back on a hare, than a lover's bland inducements can fail with a woman. Even one you suppose reluctant will want it. Like men, girls love stolen passion, but are better at camouflaging their desires. If masculine custom precluded courtship of women, you'd find each besotted girl taking the lead herself. A heifer amid lush pastures lows to the bull, a mare whinnies at stallions, but our male libido's milder, less rabid. Man's sex has bounds imposed by convention. Incest is out. Think of wretched Byblis, turned up by her brother, expiating her crime with a suicide's noose. Mira loved her father, but hardly as a daughter should, and now she's straitjacketed behind tree bark, oozing those fragrant tears we use for perfume, named after her, myrrh. Once in the shady valleys of woodland Ida, there roamed a milk-white bull, pride of the herd, spotless save for one single black mark between his horns. The heifers of Crete all yearned to sustain that burden on their backs, but Pasiphae, proudly rejoiced in her role as bull's mistress, eyed his cows with envious hate. What I say is well known. Not even Crete of the 100 cities, for all her mendacious ways, can deny it. With unpracticed hands, they say, the lady plucked leaves and lush grass for this bull, went off with the herds, unrestrained by concern for her husband. A bull won out over Minos himself. Why dress richly, Pasiphae? Your lover's blind to your wealth. Why bother with mirrors when the company you're seeking is upland cattle? Why keep fixing your hair, you silly girl? You're no heifer. On that you can trust your mirror. But oh, how you wish you could sprout horns. If you love Minos, steer clear of all adulterers. If you choose to cuckold your man, then at least cuckold him with a man. See the queen desert her bower for woods and glens, like some god. Frenzied Maenad, the times she eyed a cow in fury, crying, "What can my lord ever see in that? Just watch the silly creature frisking before him down there at a pasture. I suppose she thinks she's a raving beauty." With that, she would have the wretched cow dragged from the herd to be yoked to the plow, or poleaxed at the altar in a bogus sacrifice, just to let her, a rare pleasure, get her hands on her rival's entrails. The time she slaughtered such heifers to appease the gods, and cried, as she held out their guts, "Go, see how he likes you now!" Now she craves to be Io, now Europa, bovine or bull-born. Yet the herd leader, taken in by a wooden cow, contrived to fill her. Their offspring betrayed its paternity. Had Eripe restrained her love for Thyestes, and to forego even one man is a serious matter, Phoebus would never have turned backwards in mid-flight, have driven his steeds and chariot dawnwards. From Nisus his daughter stole that purple lock, and now fights down the mad dogs that swarm from her groin. Agamemnon lived through battles on land and great storms by sea to become his wife's victim. Who's not wept for flame-racked Creusa, for the children whose bloody death stained Medea's hands? Amintor's son Phoenix wept tears from sightless orbs. Fright-maddened horses toward Hippolytus limb from limb. Ah, Phineus, why blind your innocent sons? On your own head the same horror will fall. Each one of these crimes was prompted by women's lust that far outstrips ours in keenness and frenzy. Why doubt that you can conquer any girl in sight? Few indeed will turn you down, and willing or not, a male proposition is something they all enjoy. Draw blank, rejection it brings no danger. But why should you be rejected when new thrills delight? When what's not ours has more allure than what is. The harvest's always richer in another man's fields. The herd of our neighbor has fuller udders. But first you must get acquainted with your quarry's maid. She can help in the early stages. Make sure she enjoys the full confidence of her mistress. Make sure you can trust her with your secret liaison. Corrupt her with promises, corrupt her with prayers. If she's willing, you'll get what you want. She'll await the propitious time like a doctor when her mistress is in a receptive, seducible mood, when she's bursting out all over with cheerfulness like a wheat crop in rich soil. When hearts are rejoicing and have no sorrow to constrict them, they're wide open. Venus can steal in by persuasive guile. Grim Troy long faced her besiegers, but a light-hearted change of mood fell for that troop-gravid horse. Another time to try her is when she's been miffed by a rival. Make it your job to ensure she gets her revenge. Prime her maid to egg her on while combing her hair each morning. Put an oar to boost ma'am's plain sailing. Sigh to herself and murmur, "What a pity it is you can't just pay him out with a tit-for-tat." Then talk about you in persuasive language. Swear you're dying of mad passion. But lose no time. Don't let the wind subside or the sails drop slack. Fury, like brittle ice, melts with delay. You may ask, does it pay to seduce the maid herself? Such a gambit involves great risk. Bed makes one girl jealous, takes the edge off another. Will she want you for her mistress or for her? It can go either way. Though the situation calls for bold risks, my advice is, don't. I'm not the sort to climb precipitous paths, sharp peaks. With me for leader, no young man will be caught. But if, while she carries your letters back and forth, it's not just her zeal but her figure that tickles your fancy, then make mistress first, maid second. Never begin your wooing with the lady's companion. And here's one piece of advice, if you trust in my skill at all, if the greedy winds don't blow my words out to sea. Lay off or make sure of her. Once she's involved and guilty, there's no longer any fear that she'll turn informer against you. What's the use of liming a bird's wings if it escapes? A loose-netted boar that breaks free is no good. Play your fish on the hook she's taken. Press home your assault, don't give up till victory's won. But keep such relationships secret. With a secret informer, you'll always know every move your mistress makes. It's wrong to suppose that only shipmen and toiling farmers must observe due season. Grain cannot always be trusted to the treacherous furrow, nor curving hulls to the green deep. Likewise, it's not safe to pursue young girls. Always. The occasion will often condition success. Thus, avoid her birthday, and April the 1st, the feast of Venus in conjunction with Mars. And when the circus is decorated, not, as before, with gewgaws, but with the wealth of kings, never make your attempt at such times. Then storms are roughest, the Pleiades sinking horizonwards, or the kid washed down under the waves. Best to sit tight. Those who venture on the high seas now limp home with a dismembered vessel. Begin on a day of mourning, the anniversary of Rome's bloody defeat at the Allia, or perhaps on the Jewish Sabbath. Many shops will be shut then. Regard your mistress's birthday with superstitious horror. Set a black mark against any day when you have to buy presents. Yet avoid it as you may, she'll collect all the same. Every woman knows just how to fleece her panting lover. When she's got a spending mood on, some loose-garbed peddler will come and spread out his wares with you sitting by. She'll ask you to look at the stuff, show off your expert knowledge. Kisses will follow. Then she'll insist that you buy it, swear it'll satisfy her for years, say she needs it now, now's a good time to buy it. Tell her you haven't the cash in the house, she'll ask for a note of hand, just to make you sorry you learnt how to write. There's the birthday cake gambit, a broad hint for presents. She's born X times a year as the occasion demands, or she'll come up weeping, pretend she's lost one of her earbobs. Such girls are always borrowing things that, once they've loaned them, they never return. Your loss in this sort of case isn't even offset by gratitude. To list the trick such gold-digging tarts employ, I'd require 10 mouths, 10 tongues. Let wax pave the way for you, spread out on smooth tablets. Let wax go before as witness to your mind. Bring her your flattering words, words that ape the lover. And remember, whoever you are, to throw in some good entreaties. Entreaties are what made Achilles give back Hector's body to Priam. Even an angry god is moved by the voice of prayer. Make promises. What's the harm in promising?
Here's where anyone can play rich. Hope, once entertained, is enduring. A deceptive goddess, but useful. Your gift, once made, you can be abandoned. And with good reason. She'll have fleeced you, past tense, at no loss to herself. But a present withheld breeds expectations. That's how farmers so often are fooled by barren field. That's why the inveterate gambler doubles his losses to stave off loss. Why the dice box beckons his hand back again and again. This the task, this the labor, to win her gift free. She'll continue to give lest she lose what she's given already. A persuasive letter's the thing to lead off with. Explore her mind. Reconnoitre the landscape. A message scratched on an apple betrayed Sidipe. She was snared by her own words. My advice, then, young men of Rome, is to learn the noble advocate's arts, not only to let you defend some trembling client, a woman, no less than the populace, elite senator, or grave judge, will surrender to eloquence. Nevertheless, dissemble your powers, avoid long words, don't look too highbrow. Who but a mindless ninny declaims to his mistress? An over-lettered style repels girls as often as not. Use ordinary language, familiar yet coaxing words, as though you were there in her presence. If she refuses your letter, sends it back unread, persist. Say you'll hope she read it later. Time breaks stubborn oxen to the plow. Time teaches a horse to accept the bridle. An iron ring is worn by constant friction. The furrowed soil rubs away the curved plowshare. What is softer than water, what harder than stone? Yet the soft water drip hollows hard rock. In time, with persistence, you'll conquer Penelope. Troy fell late, but fall it did. Suppose she reads your notes, but won't answer. Don't press her, just keep up your flattering billets doux. The girl who reads the letters will reply to them in the end. Affairs like these go by degrees and stages. First you may get an angry note saying, "Don't pester me, please." She's really afraid you'll stop. What she wants, but says she doesn't, is for you to go on. Press hard, you'll win through in the end. What else? If she's out, reclining in her litter, make your approach discreet. And just to fox the sharp ears of those around you, cleverly riddle each phrase with ambiguous subtleties. If she's taking a leisurely stroll down the colonnade, then you stroll there too. Vary your pace to hers. March ahead, drop behind her, dawdling and brisk by turns. Be bold. Dodge in round the columns between you. Brush your person lingeringly past hers. You must never fail to attend the theater when she does. Gaze at her beauty. From the shoulders up, she's time most deliberately spent, most delectably spent. A feast for adoring glances, for the eloquence of eyebrows, the speaking sign. Applaud when some male dancer struts on as the heroine, cheer for each lover's role. When she leaves, leave too, but sit there as long as she does. Waste time at your mistress's whim. Don't torture your hair, though, with curling irons. Don't pumice your legs into smoothness. Leave that to Mother Cybele's votaries, ululating in chorus with their Phrygian modes. Real men shouldn't primp their good looks. When Theseus abducted Ariadne, no pins held up his locks. Hippolytus was no dandy, yet Phaedra loved him. Adonis, that creature of woodland, allured a goddess. Keep pleasantly clean, take exercise, work up an outdoor tan. Make quite sure that your toga fits and doesn't show spots. Don't lace your shoes too tightly or ignore any rusty buckles, or slop around in too large a fitting. Don't let some incompetent barber ruin your looks. Both hair and beard demand expert attention. Keep your nails pared and dirt-free. Don't let those long hairs sprout in your nostrils. Make sure your breath is never offensive. Avoid the rank male stench that wrinkles noses. Beyond this is for wanton women, or any half-man who wants to attract men.
Lo, Bacchus calls to his poet. Bacchus too helps lovers, fosters that flame with which he burns himself. As Ariadne discovered, ranging the unfamiliar sea strand of Naxos, crazed out of her mind, fresh roused from sleep, in an ungirt robe, blonde hair streaming loose, barefoot, calling, "Ah, cruel Theseus," to the deaf waves, tears coursing down her innocent tender cheeks. She wept, she besought, yet contrived to remain appealing despite all, not even those tears could imperil such beauty. Hands beating her soft bosom,
"He's gone," she cried. "He's betrayed me. What, ah what, will become of me now?" Then, presto, the whole shore echoed with frenzied drumming, the clash of cymbals. She broke off, speechless, fainted in terror. The blood fled from her pale, inert limbs, as wild-tressed bacchanals, wanton satyrs, the gods' forerunners, appeared with drunken old Silenus, scarce fit to ride his sway-backed ass, hands clutching its mane, as he chased the Maenads. The Maenads would flee and rally, a dizzy rider whipping his steed ahead, till he pitched off the long-eared ass on his head, and the satyrs all shouted, "Up with you, Dad! Come on up there!" And then came the god, his chariot grape-clustered, paired tigers patting on as he shook the golden reins. Poor girl, lost voice, lost color, lost Theseus. Thrice she tried to run, thrice stood frozen with fear, shivering like a thin breeze-rustled cornstalk, or osiers in a march. "I am here for you," the god told her. "My love will prove more faithful. No need for fear. You shall be wife to Bacchus. Take the sky as your dowry. Be seen there as a star, the Cretan crown, familiar guide to my wandering vessels." Down he sprang from his chariot, lest the girl take fright at the tigers, set his foot on the shore, and gathered her up in his arms. No resistance, and bore her away. No trouble for gods to do whatever they please. Loud cheers, a riotous wedding. Bacchus and his bride were soon bedded down. So when the blessings of Bacchus are set out before you at dinner, with a lady to share your couch, then pray the Lord of Darkness and nocturnal orgies to stop the wine going to your head. Here double talk is the vogue. Lace your conversation with ambiguous phrases designed to make the girl feel they're specially meant for her. Write flatteries on the table in wine. Let her read herself your heart's mistress. Gaze deep in her eyes with open passion. One silent glance can speak whole volumes. Make sure you're the first to snatch the cup that her lips have touched. Drink from where she is drunk, and if there's some piece of food she's fingered, take it, brushing her hand as you reach out. Let it be your concern, too, to please your lady's escort. He'll be of more use to you as a friend. When you're dicing to settle the drink order, let him take your place, give him the garland off your head. Never mind if he's placed below you or with you. Still let him be served first every time. Defer to his words. I'll give you specific advice now on just what limits you should set to your drinking. Keep it in mind and feet steady. Above all, avoid drunken quarrels. Don't get in a fight too fast. His stupid swilling killed off Eurytion the centaur. Wine over dinner was rather meant to promote fun and games. So if you've a voice, then sing, or if your movements are graceful, dance. Please with whatever gifts you possess to give pleasure. And though real drunkenness can harm you, to feign it may prove useful. Let your devious tongue stutter and slur. Then, however licentious your words or actions, they'll be blamed on the wine. "A health to the lady," you'll cry, "a health to the man she sleeps with," while silently wishing her present partner in hell. But when the tables are cleared, and the guests departing, and in the confusion you perceive your chance to make contact, then join the crowd, discreetly approach her on the way out, let your fingers brush against her side, touching her foot with yours. Now's the time for chatting her up. No clod-hopping bashfulness. The bold are favored by chance and Venus. Don't think that your eloquence must conform to poetic canons. Just pitch in and you'll find yourself fluent enough. You must play the lover, ape heartache with words, use every subtle device to compel her belief. It's not hard. What woman doesn't believe she's a natural object for love, or however plain isn't thrilled by her own appearance? Besides, very often that passion a gallant feigns in his opening round will become the real thing. So girls, show more kindness to pretenders. True love may spring tomorrow from today's false declaration. Press on, undermine them with devious flatteries, so a stream will eat away its overhanging bank. Never weary of praising her face, her hair, her slim fingers, her tiny feet. Even the chaste like having their good looks published. Even virgins are taken up with their own cute figures. Why does it still bother Juno and Pallas that they didn't win first prize in the Phrygian woods? When it's praised, then Juno's peacock displays its plumage. If you stare without comment, no show. Even racehorses back in the paddock respond with pleasure to a combed mane, a pat on the neck. Don't be shy about promising. It's promises girls are undone by. Invoke any gods you please to endorse your performance. Jupiter smiles from heaven on forsworn lovers, lets all their perjuries blow away unrequited. He used to swear falsely by Styx to Juno, so looks now with favor on others who do the same. The existence of gods is expedient. Let us therefore assume it, with gifts of incense and wine on their antique hearths. No carefree repose, like a drowny siesta, keeps them remote after all. So lead an innocent life, divinity's nigh. Honor bonds, don't embezzle deposits, avoid murder and fraud. If you're wise, gull-only girls, they're no danger. In this one deception, it's good faith that ought to make you blush. They're cheats, so cheat them. Most are dumb and unscrupulous. Let them fall into the traps they've set themselves. Egypt had drought for 9 years once, no rain to quicken her harvest fields. Then Thrasias the sage told King Busiris the gods could be propitiated with a stranger's spilt blood. Busiris replied, "You shall be the god's first victim, you the stranger who brings water to Egypt's soil." So Perillus, the inventor of Phalaris's brazen bull, was the first unlucky man to roast in his own cruel contrivance. Both kings did right. No fairer statute than that which condemns the artificer of death to perish by his art. So let perjuries guilt the perjured, let woman smart from the wounds she first dealt out. Tears, too, will help. With tears you'll shift adamant, flaunt wet cheeks, if you can, for her to see. But if tears won't come, and they sometimes fail in a crisis, just wipe a moist hand across your eye. What sensible man will not intersperse his coaxing with kisses? Even if she doesn't kiss back, still force on regardless. She may struggle, cry naughty, yet she wants to be overcome. Just take care not to bruise her tender lips with such hard-snatched kisses. Don't give her a chance to protest, you're too rough. Those who grab their kisses, but not what follows, deserve to lose all they've gained. How short were you of the ultimate goal after all your kissing? That was gauchiness, not modesty, I'm afraid. It's all right to use force. Force of that sort goes down well with the girls. What in fact they love to yield, they'd often rather have stolen. Rough seduction delights them. The audacity of near rape is a compliment. So the girl who could have been forced, yet somehow got away unscathed, may feign delight, but in fact feels sadly let down. Hilera and Phoebe, both ravished, both fell for their ravishers. Then there's another tale, well known but well worth retelling, which recounts how Achilles made a girl on Skyros his. It was after the goddess had won that beauty competition against her peers on Ida, and had given her own reward to Paris after Priam had welcomed his foreign daughter-in-law, and a Greek wife came to dwell within Troy's walls. All swore allegiance to the injured husband, so one man's hurt became a national cause. But Achilles, to his shame, were the act not prompted by a mother's prayers, concealed his manhood beneath a girl's long robe. What's this? Wool spinning's not your business, Achilles. It's another of Pallas's arts through which you'll find fame. What have you to do with baskets? Your arm should support a shield. Why does the hand that will one day slay Hector carry a skein? Cast aside your spindle with its laborious threading. The Pelian spear is what you should wield. The king's daughter, Diademia, who shared his room, soon proved that manhood through rape. Her seduction must have been forceful, but to be forced was what she desired. "Don't go," she cried, when Achilles was hastening from her, distaff forgotten, a warrior under arms. "Where's that violence now? Why coax the perpetrator of your rape to remain, Diademia? If you take the initiative, it's true, you may feel some embarrassment. Better to let him, and more fun when you submit. Any lover who waits for his girl to make the running has too much faith in his own irresistible charms. The first approaches, the pleading, are the man's concern. Her place is to hear his smooth line with kindness. To win her, ask her. She's dying to be asked. Just provide a good excuse for her to fulfill your wishes. Jupiter wooed those antique heroines as a suppliant. No girl seduced the Almighty. But if you find that your pleading induces puffed-up disdain, then ease off, take a step back. Many women adore the elusive, hate over-eagerness. So play hard to get, Stop boredom developing. And don't let your entreaties sound too confident of possession. Insinuate sex camouflaged as friendship. I've seen ultra stubborn creatures fooled by this gambit, the switch from companion to stud. For sailors, a pale complexion is inappropriate. They should be tanned and dark, fetchingly weather-beaten. So should husbandmen who spend their time out of doors with plow and harrow. So should the champion athlete. If they're white, it looks all wrong. But let every lover be pale. Here's the proper complexion for lovers. This gambit, please note, has worked on every occasion. Pale was Orion, roaming the woodlands, pining for Cide. Pale Daphnis, ah, unkind Naiad, look lean and haggard as proof of your passion. Don't balk at hooding your lustrous curls. Sleepless nights, the pangs and worry of consuming love, these will reduce young men to a thin nothing. If you mean to achieve your purpose, be an object of pity, so that the passers-by will say at once, he's in love. Now should I complain or warn you that no one now distinguishes right from wrong? Friendship and honor are empty words. It's not safe to praise your girl to a friend. If he believes what you say, he'll be in there himself. You may ask, did Patroclus cuckold Achilles? Wasn't Phaedra perfectly chaste with Pirithous? Didn't Pylades love Hermione as Apollo loved Pallas, or Castor his twin? If anyone nurses that hope, he'll believe that apples grow on tamarisks, that honey's to be found in midstream. The base alone gives pleasure. Men seek only their own enjoyment, and find that sweet when it springs from another's pain. How outrageous when it's not their enemies that lovers need to fear. Nowadays, you'll be safe enough if you shun those you trust. Cousins, brothers, loyal comrades, here's where your real trouble lies. One more word before I stop. The characters of women all differ. To capture 1,000 hearts demands 1,000 devices. Some soils are better for olives, some for vines, or for wheat. You can't raise them all in one field. Hearts have as many changing moods as the face has expressions. A wise man will adapt to countless fashions, will resolve himself like Proteus into water, now lion, now tree, now bristling boar. Some fish are trawled, some netted, some caught with line and hook. And don't try the same technique on every age group. An old doe will spot the trap from much further off. If a simpleton finds you too highbrow or a prude over coarse, they'll feel self-distrust and dismay. That's how the girl who shies off decent lovers will cheapen herself by giving in to some low cad. This concludes the first part of my venture. Now throw out the anchor, let my craft ride secure.
Book 2. Cry hurrah, and hurrah again for my splendid triumph. The quarry I sought has fallen into my toils. Each happy lover now rates my verses higher than Homer's or Hesiod's, awards them the palm of victory. He's as cheerful as Paris was, sailing away from warlike Sparta, the guest who stole a bride, or Pelops the stranger, the winner of Hippodamia after the chariot race. Why hurry, young man? Your ship's still in mid-passage, and the harbor I seek is far away. Through my verses, it's true, you may have acquired a mistress, but that's not enough. If my art caught her, my art must keep her. To guard a conquest's as tricky as making it. There was luck in the chase, but this task will call for skill. If ever I needed support from Venus and Sun and Erato, the muse erotic by name, it's now, for my too ambitious project, to relate some techniques that might restrain that fickle young globe-trotter love. He's winged and flighty, hard to pin down. Just so Minos might block every line of escape, yet his guest still found a daring way out, by air. When Daedalus had built his labyrinth to imprison the man-bull conceived through a queen's guilt, he said, Most just Minos, put a term now to my exile. Let my native soil receive my ashes. Since unkind fate would not let me live there, grant me at least to die in my own country. Release the boy, if you hold his father's servants as cheap. Spare me, if you will not spare my son. So much he said, but might have gone on pleading forever in vain. The king would not grant his request. When Daedalus perceived this, now is the time, he told himself, to deploy all your skill and craft. Minos rules earth, rules ocean, no escape by sea or land. All that remains is the sky.
So through the sky we'll seek our passage. God in high heaven, forgive such a project. I do not aspire to touch your starry dwellings. This is the only way I have to escape my master. Were there a way by Styx through Stygian waters, we'd swim to freedom. I must devise new laws for human nature. Necessity often mothers invention. Who would have believed man ever could fly? But Daedalus fashioned bird's orage, trimmed it with feathers, bonded the flimsy fabric with linen thread, melted wax to glue wings in place. Very soon his novel craftsman's task was achieved. Excitedly, the boy studied wings and wax, not guessing the gear had been made for his own shoulders and arms, till his father said, "These are the craft which must bear us home. With their aid we must escape from Minos. Though he's blocked all other routes to us, he cannot master the air, as you can do through my device. But take care, don't go stargazing at belted Orion or the Bear. Take these pinions, fly behind me. I'll go ahead, you follow my lead. That way you'll be safe. If we fly too close to the sun, through the upper air, then the wax will be softened by the heat. If we stoop too low seaward, then our thrashing pinions will grow waterlogged from the spray. So, my son, set a middle course, and watch out for turbulent air currents. Spread your wings to the steady breeze, go with it." While he talked, he was fitting the boy's gear, showing him how to move like a mother bird with her fledglings. Then he fixed his own harness to his shoulders, nervously poised himself for this strange new journey, paused on the brink of takeoff, embraced his son, couldn't fight back his tears. They'd found a hilltop, above the plain but no mountain, and from this they took off on their hapless flight. Daedalus flexed his wings, glanced back at his sons, held a steady course. This new element bred delight. Fear forgotten, Icarus flew more boldly with daring skill. The pair were glimpsed by an angler, line bobbing, who at the sight of them dropped his rod in surprise. They left Naxos and Paros behind them, skirted Delos, beloved of Apollo, flew on east to the north lay Samos toward Lebynthos, Calymne with its shady forest, and Ostypalia set amid fish-rich soils. Then the boy, made over-reckless by youthful daring, abandoned his father, soared aloft too close to the sun, the wax melted, the ligatures flew apart, his flailing arms had no hold on the thin air. From dizzy heaven he gazed down seaward in terror. Fright made the scene go black before his eyes. No wax, wings gone, a thrash of naked arms, a sudden plunge down through the void, a scream. "Father, father, I'm falling," cut off as he hit the waters. His unhappy father, a father no longer, cried, "Icarus, Icarus, where are you? In what part of the sky do you fly now?" Then saw wings littering the water. Earth holds his bones, the Icarians see his name. So Minos failed to clip the wings of a mortal, yet here am I now, planning to pin down the winged god. Delusions abound. Don't mess with Thessalian witchcraft. That love charm torn from the brow of a foal is no good. Not all Medea's herbs, not every spell and magical cantrip will suffice to keep love alive. Else Circe had held Ulysses, and Medea her Jason, by their arts alone. Giving girls aphrodisiac drugs, too, is useless and dangerous. Drugs can affect the brain, induce madness. Avoid all such nasty tricks. To be loved, you must show yourself lovable, something good looks alone can never achieve. You may be handsome as Homer's Nereus or young Hylas snatched by those bad naiads, but all the same, to avoid a surprise desertion and keep your girl, it's best you have gifts of mind in addition to physical charms. Beauty's fragile. The passing years diminish its substances, eat it away. Violets and bell-mouthed lilies do not bloom forever. Hard thorns are all that's left of the blown rose. So with you, my handsome youth, soon wrinkles will furrow your body. Soon, too soon, your hair turn gray. Then build an enduring mind. Add that to your beauty. It alone will last till the flames consume you. Keep your wits sharp, explore the liberal arts, win a mastery over Greek as well as Latin. Ulysses was eloquent, not handsome, yet he filled sea goddesses' hearts with aching passion. How often Calypso lamented his haste to be off, swore the sea was too rough for rowing. Again and again she'd beg him to recount Troy's fate, made him find fresh words for the same old tale. They'd pace the shore. Pretty Calypso would say, "Now tell me how King Rhesus met his bloody end." Then Ulysses would take the stick he was holding and sketch in the wet sand whatever scene she'd demanded. "Here's Troy," he'd say, making walls of shingle, "and here's the river. Let's call this bit by my camp. This was the plain," he leveled it, "where we butchered Dolon, the spy by night, as he dreamed of Achilles' horses. There stood the tents of Rhesus. I rode back home that night on the king's captured steeds." As he spoke, a sudden breaker washed away Rhesus, his camp, and Troy itself. Then the goddess exclaimed, "You'd trust these waves for your voyage? Look at the great names they've destroyed." So don't rely too much on looks. They can prove deceptive whoever you are. Have something more than physique. Nothing works on a mood like tactful tolerance. Harshness provokes hatred, makes nasty rows. We detest the hawk and the wolf, those natural hunters, always preying on timid flocks. But the gentle swallow goes safe from man's snares. We fashion little turreted houses for doves. Keep clear of all quarrels, sharp-tongued reclamations. Love's sensitive, needs to be fed with gentle words. Leave nagging to wives and husbands. Let them, if they want, think it a natural law, a permanent state of feud. Wives thrive on wrangling, that's their dowry. The mistress should always hear what she wants to be told. You don't share one bed by legal fiat, with you love substitutes for law. Use tender blandishments, language that caresses the ear. Make her glad you came. I'm not here as preceptor of loving to the wealthy. A suitor with gifts doesn't need my skills. Anyone attractive who says, "Here's something for you," has genius of his own. To such a one I give place. He's got my tricks beat. I'm the poor man's poet. Was poor myself as a lover. Couldn't afford gifts, so spun words. Poor suitors must woo with caution. Watch their tongues. Bear much that the rich would never put up with. I recall how once in anger I pulled my girl's hair. The days I lost through that little outburst. I don't think I tore her dress. I wasn't conscious of doing so, but she said I did, and the bill was paid for at my expense. Avoid, if you're wise, your teacher's errors. Shun what may cost you dear. Fight Parthians, but keep peace with a civilized mistress. Have fun together. Do all that induces love. If the girl's curt and unreceptive to your wooing, persist, be obdurate. The time will come when she is more welcoming. Go with the bow, you'll bend it. Use brute force, it'll snap. Go with the current. That's how to swim across rivers. Fighting upstream's no good. Go easy with lions or tigers if you aim to tame them. The bull gets inured to the plow by slow degrees. Was there ever a girl more prickly than Atalanta? Yet, tough as she was, she went down before a man's prowess. Melanion, roaming the forest, kept bewailing his lot and the girl's unkindness. She made him hump hunting nets on his back. He was forever spearing wild boars. His wounded flesh learnt the strength of Helios the centaur's taught bow, yet his keener pangs came from another bow, Cupid's. I'm not suggesting you have to go lugging nets up mountain glens or play the hunter or bare your breast to flying arrows. A cautious lover will find the rules of my art undemanding enough. So yield if she shows resistance. That way you'll win in the end. Just be sure to play the part she allots you. Censure the things she censors. Endorse her endorsements. Echo her every word, pro or con, and laugh whenever she laughs. Remember, if she weeps, to weep too. Take your cue from her every expression. Suppose she's playing a board game, then throws the dice carelessly. Move all your pieces wrong. At knucklebones, when you beat her, exact no forfeit. Roll low throws yourself as often as you can manage. If you're playing Halma, permit her glass piece to take yours. Open up her parasol, hold it over her when she's out walking, clear her a path through the crowd. When she's on her chase lounge, make haste to find a footstool for those dainty feet of hers. Help her on and off with her slippers. At times she'll feel cold. Then, though you're shivering yourself, warm her tiny hand in your bosom. Don't jib at a slavish task like holding her mirror. Slavish or not, such attentions please. When his stepmother Hera tired of sending him monsters to vanquish, then the hero who won a place in the sky he'd formerly shouldered took to the distaff and basket, spun wool among Ionian girls. If Hercules then obeyed his mistress's orders, will you flinch from enduring what he endured? She says you've a date in town? Be sure you always get there ahead of time. Don't give her up till it's really late. If she asks you to meet her somewhere, put everything off, elbow your way through the crowd at the double. When she comes home late at night from a party, you still must attend like her slave if she summons you. It's the same when she's in the country. Love detests laggards. You've no transport? Walk. Don't be put off by bad weather, or a heat wave, or snowdrifts blocking your road. Love is a species of warfare. Slack troopers go elsewhere. It takes more than cowards to guard these standards. Night duty in winter, long route marches, every hardship, all forms of suffering. These await the recruit who expects a soft option. You'll often be out in cloudbursts and bivouac on the bare ground. We know how Apollo pastured Admetus's cattle dossed down in a herdsman's hut. What mere mortal's too good for conditions a god accepted? Is lasting love your ambition? Then put away all pride. The simple, straightforward way in may be denied you. Doors bolted, shut in your face. So be ready to slip down from the roof through a light well, or sneak in by an upper floor window. She'll be glad to know you're risking your neck, and for her sake, that will offer any mistress sure proof of your love. Linder might, more often enough, have endured hero's absence, but swam over to show her how he felt. Don't think it beneath you to cultivate Madame's houseboys and her more important maids. Greet each one by name, the gesture costs you nothing, clasp their coarse hands in yours, all part of the game. On good luck day, if you're asked for a present, even by a slave, then give. The expense will be minimal. See that maids, too, get a handout on their day, the day those Gauls were figged by some dressed-up slavies. It pays, believe me, to keep in with the servants, especially those who watch her front door or bedroom entrance. Don't give your mistress costly presents. Let them be small, but chosen with skill and discretion. At harvest time, when fields are full, boughs heavy, send around a basket of fruit. Say it came from your country estate, though you really bought it at some smart city shop. Give her grapes, or the chestnuts to which Amaryllis was so devoted. No, not chestnuts, she's off them these days, much too cheap. Why not try a poulterer's hoop of thrushes by way of remembrance? It's shameful to use such gifts in the hope of a death, to bribe the elderly or barren. I've no time for those who give presents a bad name. Would you be well advised to send her love poems? Poetry, I fear, is held in small esteem. Girls praise a poem, but go for expensive presents. Any illiterate oaf can catch their eye, provided he's rich. Today is truly the golden age. Gold buys honors, gold procures love. If Homer dropped by with all the muses but empty-handed, he'd be shown the door. There are a few cultured girls, not many it's true, and others who'd like to be cultured, but aren't. Flatter any of these with poems, a bravura declamation even of trash, this will suffice to win their approval. Clever or stupid, they'll take a poem fashioned in the small hours for them as a cute little gift. Make your mistress ask as a favor for what you intended, all along to do yourself in the way of self-interest. You've promised manumission to one slave, see that he begs it first for her. You plan to spare another his flogging or the chain gang? Then put her in your debt for a change of heart that never existed. The benefit's yours, give her the credit. Waste not, want not, while she plays the Lady Bountiful. You're anxious to keep your mistress? Convince her she's knocked you all of a heap with her stunning looks. If it's purple she's wearing, praise purple. When she's in a silk dress, say silk suits her best of all. If her mantle's gold embroidered, say she's dearer than gold to you. If tweeds take her fancy, back tweeds. She's in a slip, she inflames you, tell her, with passion. But ask at the same time, very shyly, aren't you cold? Compliment the way she's parted or curled her hair. Admire her singing voice, her gestures as she dances, cry encore when she stops. You can even praise her performance in bed, her talent for love-making, spell out what turned you on. Though she may show fiercer in action than any Medusa, her lover will always describe her as kind and gentle. But take care not to give yourself away while making such tongue-in-cheek compliments. Don't allow your expression to ruin the message. Art's most effective when concealed. Detection discredits you for good. Often in early autumn, when the year's at its sweetest, when grapes glow purple and full, one day we'll be chilled to the bone, the next get heat exhaustion, our bodies made listless by the changing air. Let's hope your girl keeps well, but if this unhealthy season turns her sickly, sends her to bed, then let her see, beyond doubt, how she's loved and cherished, then sow your seed. You'll reap a bumper crop when the time is ripe. Bear with her fretful sickness, attend in person to all she'll let you do. Let her see you weeping, comfort her with kisses, day in, day out. Let her parched lips drink your tears. Invent cheerful dreams to tell her, make vows galore, and all of them aloud. Bring round some old crone to purify bed and bedroom, eggs and sulphur clutched in her tremulous hands. All this will be proof of your willing care. Such tactics have often led to a legacy. But don't let your services risk incurring the invalid's displeasure. Sedulous zeal should know its proper bounds. Never restrict her diet. Never make her drink unpleasant medicines. Leave your rival to deal with such things. Remember, the wind you spread your sails to when leaving harbor should not be used out on the high seas. Let your young love, fancy-free, gather strength through experience. Nourish it well, in time it will grow steadfast. The bull you now fear began as the calf you stroked. The tree beneath which you recline was once a sapling. A river's small beginnings swell with progression, embrace many confluent waters. Get her accustomed to you. Habit's the key, spare no pains till that's achieved. Let her always see you around, always hear you talking. Show her your face night and day. When you're confident you'll be missed, when your absence seems sure to cause her regret, then give her some respite. A field improves when fallow, parched soil soaks up the rain. Demophoon's presence gave Phyllis no more than mild excitement. It was his sailing caused arson in her heart. Penelope was racked by crafty Ulysses' absence. Protesilaus abroad made Laodamia burn. Short partings do best, though. Time wears out affections, the absent love fades, a new one takes its place. With Menelaus away, Helen's disinclination for sleeping alone led her into a guest's warm bed at night. Were you crazy, Menelaus? Why go off leaving your wife with a stranger in the house? Do you trust doves to falcons, full sheepfolds to mountain wolves? Here Helen's not at fault. The adulterer's blameless. He did no more than you, or any man else, would do yourself. By providing place and occasion, you precipitated the act. What else did she do but act on your clear advice? Husband gone, this silent stranger here on the spot, too scared to sleep alone. Oh, Helen wins by acquittal. The blames her husband's. All she did was take advantage of a man's human complacence. And yet, more savage than the tawny boar in his rage, as he tosses the maddened dogs on lightning tusks, or a lioness suckling her unweaned cubs, or the tiny adder crushed by some careless foot, is a woman's wrath. When some rival is caught in the bed she shares, her feelings show on her face, decorum's flung to the wind, a Maenadic frenzy grips her. She rushes headlong off after fire and steel. Deserted, barbarian Medea avenged her marital wrongs on Jason by killing their children. Like Procne the swallow, another ruthless mother, breast stained red with blood. Such acts destroy the most strongly bonded passions. All prudent men should avoid set toes of this sort. Such a ruling, though, won't condemn you, God forbid, to one girl alone. No bride can expect that degree of devotion. Have fun, but play it discreetly. Don't broadcast your intrigues as a boost for your ego. Don't make regular assignations. Don't give X presents that Y might recognize. Don't always meet in the same place. The lady may catch you if you haunt the milieus that she knows. And whenever you write, make sure all previous letters have been erased from your tablets. Many girls read more than was ever sent them. Venus, when affronted, hits back, inflicts on you all that she suffered. So long as Agamemnon was faithful, Clytemnestra stayed chaste. It was her husband's crimes turned her to the bad. She'd heard how Chryses, sacerdotal fillet on head and laurel in hand, had failed to win back his daughter. She'd heard the sad tale of abducted Briseis. knew how shameful delay had prolonged the war. Yet all this was mere hearsay. Priam's daughter Cassandra she'd seen, the conqueror shamefully caught by his own captive. It was then she welcomed Thyestes' son to her heart and bed, avenged her husband's ill deed. Should your carefully camouflaged actions be brought notwithstanding to light, then deny them still, through thick and thin. Don't be over-subservient. Don't flatter her more than usual. Such traits are clear proof of guilt. Go to it in bed, that's the one way you'll get round her. With coxmanship so fine it has to disprove an earlier peccadillo. Some advice taking aphrodisiac herbal concoctions. They're poison, believe you me. Some crush up pepper with nettle seed, an urticant mixture, or blend yellow chamomile and vintage wine. But the goddess worshipped high on Eryx's leafy mountain won't let her joys be forced this way. Try white Megarian onions and salacious colewort picked from your kitchen garden. Eat eggs, enrich your diet with hymettus honey, with the needled pine tree's delectable nuts. Why digress on such hocus-pocus muse? I must guide my chariot straight down the innermost lane, grazing the rail. Just now, at my urging, you were ready to keep your affairs a secret. Now change tack, at my urging, and publish them. Don't chide me for fickle impulses. No ship is always blown by the same prevailing wind. We veer to every quarter as the breeze fills our sails. Watch how a charioteer will handle his horses, first letting them gallop, then skillfully reining them in. Some women just don't react well to timid complaisance. If there's no competition in sight, their love wanes. Success will often breed presumption. It's hard to keep your head through a run of good luck. You've seen the fire that smolders down to nothing, grows a crown of pale ash over its hidden embers, yet a sprinkling of sulfur will suffice to rekindle the flame. So with the heart. It grows torpid from lack of worry, needs a sharp stimulus to elicit love. Get her anxious about you, reheat her tepid passions, tell her your guilty secrets, watch her blanch. Thrice fortunate that man, lucky past calculation, who can make some poor injured girl torture herself over him, lose voice, go pale, pass out when the unwelcome news reaches her. Ah, may I be the one whose hair she tears out in her fury, the one whose soft cheeks she rips with her nails, whom she sees, eyes glaring through a rain of tears, without whom, try as she will, she cannot live. How long, you may ask, should you leave her lamenting her wrong? A little while only, lest rage gather strength through procrastination. By then you should have her sobbing all over your chest, your arms tight around her neck. You want peace? Give her kisses. Make love to the girl while she's crying. That's the only way to melt her angry mood. When she's been raging at you, when she seems utterly hostile, then is the time to try an alliance in bed. She'll come through. Bed's where harmony dwells when the fighting's done. That's the place where loving kindness was born. The doves that lately fought now call softly, bill and coo. The world at first was mere mass, confused and patternless. One great mingled vista, stars, earth, sea. But soon heaven was sent above earth, land ringed with water, and the void withdrew to its own place. Birds made their home in the air, beasts in the forests. Deep under water, fish lurked. Mankind was nomadic then, went wandering through an empty landscape, mere muscular brutes whose home was the woodland, who ate grass, used leaves for bedding, went solitary, long avoided their own kind. What softened these fierce hearts? Voluptuous pleasure when a man and woman stopped in the same place. They found what to do by themselves, no teacher was needed. Venus saw the sweet game through without subtle trimmings. The bird has his mate, the fish will find a partner out in the deep. Hind follows stag, serpent tangles with serpent. Dog mounts random dog, the ewe thrills to be covered. Bulls rouse their heifers, the snub-nosed she-goat's back sustains her rank male partner. Mares are driven to frenzy, cross rivers in hot pursuit of their stallions. So get moving with this potent medicine when your lady's angry. Nothing else will relieve her fierce distress. This dose surpasses even Macayon's drugs. If you've been unfaithful, this will make your peace. As I was reciting these lines, Apollo abruptly materialized beside me, thrumming a chord on his gilded lyre, bay in hand, bay wreathed about his sacred hair. To poets he will sometimes appear in visible form. Preceptor, he told me, of wanton love, come, lead your disciples to my shrine. Show them the world-famous sign, that brief commandment, know yourself. Only with true self-knowledge will a man love wisely, pursue the matter by exploiting the gifts he's got. If nature's made him handsome, let him flash his best profile. If smooth-skinned, he should recline bare-shouldered. The brilliant talker can fill in those awkward silences. The good singer should sing, the good drinker drink. But brilliant declamations and high-flown poetic recitals are out of place in common or garden discourse. Such was Apollo's counsel to be obeyed. This god speaks truth. Back to my theme, then. Any intelligent lover will win in the end. My techniques are sure to bring him fulfillment. Not every sown furrow repays its investments with interest. Not every wind blows your wandering ship on course. Lovers get less pleasure than pain. Let them steel their hearts to endless hardship. As thick as Sicily's swarming bees, or hairs on Athos, or the gray olive trees clustering yield, or shells on the shore, so many are the pains of love. There's gall for us in those pricks. She's out, they'll announce, although you well may glimpse her somewhere inside. So she's out, you were seeing visions. Suppose she locks the door against you, come the promised night. Then doss down on the bare ground. It's dirty, too bad. Even when some lying and snotty maid asks, what's this fellow hanging around for? Still coax door and cruel mistress, take off your wreath of roses, hang it up on the knocker. When she's willing, move in. When she avoids you, take yourself off. No gentleman should become an importunate bore. Why force your mistress to say, you just can't get rid of old so-and-so? She won't always be set against you, and don't think it demeaning to endure a girl's blows or curses to kiss her feet. Why waste time over trifles? My mind's on greater matters, great themes will I tackle, your full attention, please, reader. The task will be arduous, but no credit otherwise, hard and exacting the toil my art demands. Bear patiently with a rival, and victory will be yours, you'll triumph in the end. Take this not as mere human opinion, believe it rather prophetic utterance. Nothing in my art is of greater importance. Put up with her flirtations, leave her billets doux alone, let her come or go as she pleases. Husbands allow this latitude to lawful wives. They nod off, let sleep assist the fun. At this game, I must confess, I fall short of perfection. But what to do? I just can't follow my own instructions. What, sit by while someone's making passes at my girl? Let that go, not blow my top? Her own incumbent, as I remember, had kissed her. I resented the kisses. My love abounds with wild, uncivilized instincts, a fault that has caused me trouble on more than one occasion. Wiser the man who oils doors for his rivals. But it's best to know nothing. Let guilty secrets be hidden. Don't make her confess. Spare your blushes. Observe, you young blades. Don't catch out your girls. No, let them cheat you. And while they're cheating, believe they've eluded discovery. Passions fanned by detection. A guilty pair revealed will always persist in the love that undid them. Take one famous example. Vulcan's crafty snaring of Mars and Venus. Driven wild by a frantic passion for the goddess, Mars was transformed from grim captain to lover. Nor did Venus play the rustic and hold out against his entreaties. There's no goddess more willing. Ah, the time she mocked her husband's limp, the wanton, or his hands, and made hard by toil at the forge and bellows. To ape him in Mars's presence lent her chic, gave added charm to her beauty. At first they concealed their adulterous meetings, guilt blushed, shame kept the affair quite dark. But who could deceive the sun? He saw it all, and told Vulcan what acts his wife was performing. Son, that's a bad example you set there. Just ask, she'll oblige you too in return for your silence. So Vulcan set hidden snares round and over the bed, no eye could detect them. Then put about, he was off to Lemnos. The lovers met as arranged, were trapped in the toils, lay naked, tableau. Then Vulcan invited all the gods round. Venus came close to tears. She and Mars couldn't cover their faces, couldn't even move a hand to their private parts. Someone laughed and said, "If you find your trains a burden, brave Mars, transfer them to me." At Neptune's urging, reluctantly, Vulcan released them. Venus ran off to Paphos, Mars to Thrace. So much for Vulcan's plotting. Once their shameful secret was out, the lovers did as they pleased without thought for concealment. Later Vulcan admitted his folly, they say, and would curse the fatal skill he'd deployed to catch them. So be warned by the fate of Venus. Don't set up the kind of snare she had to endure. Don't organize traps for your rivals. Don't intercept secret letters. That's a job more proper to husbands if they reckon such correspondence worth interception. Once more, let me repeat, there's no sport here that isn't legitimate. No long-skirted, respectable ladies figure in my fun. Who'd dare to profane the rites of Ceres? Who would publish the high mysteries held on Samothrace? To keep silence is no great virtue, but blurting out religious secrets, that's a most heinous crime. Garrulous Tantalus, vainly reaching up for apples in water, yet parched with thirst, deserved his fate. Venus expressly commands that her holy rites be kept private. I'm warning you, let no kiss-and-tell gossip come near them. These mysteries may not lurk in a box, may not echo to the wild clash of bronze cymbals, yet, though so popular among us they still insist on concealment. Venus herself, when she poses naked, bends down, places one hand over her mons. Brute beasts may couple in public, promiscuously, a sight to make girls blush and avert their eyes. But our more furtive passions call for locked doors and bedrooms. We hide our private parts under the bedclothes and prefer, if not darkness, at least something less than bright. Noonday, or a touch of shadow. In the old days, when sun and weather weren't yet kept off by roof tiles, when oaks provided both food and shelter, lovemaking was restricted to caves or woods. Even these simple folk would have blushed to be seen in the act. But now we flaunt our prowess at such nocturnal pursuits, pay a high price just for the kick of bragging. Will you give every girl in town the treatment just to be able to tell your friends, I had her too? Will you find some circumstantial scandal to repeat about each as she's mentioned, never lack for a victim to point at? That's mild, though. Some fabricate stories they deny if true. Claim there's no woman they haven't slept with. If they cannot touch girls' bodies, they'll smear their names. Though the flesh escape defilement, repute is tarnished. So bar the ladies' chamber, you crabby old doorkeeper. Fix on 100 bolts. What's left secure when the girls fair game for adulterers who work to convince the world of what never took place? Myself, I remain discreet about my erotic encounters, even when they're true. Keep such secrets under seal. Take care not to criticize girls for their shortcomings. Many have found it advantageous to pretend such things didn't exist. Andromeda's dusky complexion left wing-footed Perseus silent. Although everyone else thought Andromache was too large a woman, to Hector alone she looked just the right size. Habit breeds tolerance. A long-established love will condone much, whereas at first it's all sensitive. While a new graph's revolting in the green cortex, a light breeze can detach it. But soon, time strengthened, the tree will outface all winds, hold firm, bear adopted fruit. Time heals each physical blemish, the erstwhile flaw will fade. Young nostrils cannot abide the stink of tanning leather, but age inures them to it. After a while, they don't even notice the smell. Labels minimize feelings. She's blacker than pitch? Try brunette. If she squints, compare her to Venus. She croaks, she's Minerva. A living skeleton? Svelte is the word. Call her trim when she's minuscule or plumpish when she's a fat lady. Use proximate virtues to camouflage each fault. Don't ask her age, don't inquire under just which council she was born. Leave that kind of chore to the censor's office, especially if she's past her girlish prime, when already plucking those first white hairs. Such ladies, in this or even a higher age group, are good value, a field worth sowing, ready to bear. Besides, they possess a wider range of knowledge and experience, the sole source of true skills. They make up for their years with sophistication, camouflaging their age through art. They know 1,000 postures, name yours, for making love in, more ways than any pillow book could reveal. They need no stimuli to warm up their passions. Men and women should share the same pleasures. I hate it unless both lovers reach a climax. That's why I don't go much for boys. I can't stand a woman who puts out because she has to, who lies there dry as a bone with her mind on her knitting. Pleasure by way of duty holds no charms for me. I don't want any dutiful martyrs. I love the sights that betray their rapture, that beg me to go slow, to keep it up just a little longer. It's great when my mistress comes, eyes swooning, then collapses. Can't take any more for a long while. Such joys attend you in your 30s. Nature does not bestow them on green youth. For the hasty, new-bottled wine, for me a vintage laid down long years before. Only an aging plane tree can block the sunlight. Bare feet are crippled by a new-grown field. Would you rate Helen's daughter Hermione over Helen? Was Medusa an improvement on her mother? Any man willing to get involved with mature passions and to stay the course will win a worthwhile prize. So the bed, as though consciously, has received its two lovers, and the door is shut. Muse, you must wait outside. They don't need you now to prompt their whispered endearments. Their hands won't be idle. Fingers will learn what to do in those hidden parts where love's unnoticed darts transfix the flesh. Andromache got this treatment from most valiant Hector, his talents extended beyond war. Captive Briseis was handled thus by the great Achilles, who came, battle-weary, to her soft bed. Those hands, Briseis, you let those bloody hands caress you, though daily they claimed the stint of Phrygian dead. Or was that just what you found so exciting, the hands of a conqueror on your limbs? Believe me, love's acme of pleasure must not be hurried, but drawn insensibly on. And when you've found those places a woman adores to have touched up, don't let any feeling of shame prevent you. Go right in. You'll see that tremulous glint in her eyes, like the dazzle of sunlight on a lake. She'll moan and gasp, murmur words of sweet endearment, well matched to the sport you're playing. Heave soft sighs. But take care not to cram on sail and outrace your mistress, or let her overtake you. Both should pass the winning post neck and neck. That's the height of pleasure, when man and woman lie knocked out at once. This is the pace you should keep when time's no object, and your stolen pleasures take no prick from fear. When delay isn't safe, though, it helps to press on regardless. Step up the strike rate, spur the galloping horse. While strength and age permit it, keep at such labors. Then age will come soon enough on stealthy feet. Cleave the sea with oars, the soil with a plowshare. Turn your fierce hands to war, or expend your strength and toil and vigor on women. This too is military service, this too needs sweat. My task is ended. Give me the palm, you grateful young lovers. Wreath myrtle in my scented hair. As great as Podalirius was among the Achaeans for his healing arts, or Achilles for his strength, or Nestor in council, or Calchas as prophet, or Ajax in arms, or Automedon as charioteer, so great am I at the love game. Sing my praises, declare me your prophet and poet, young men. Let my name be broadcast worldwide. As Vulcan made arms for Achilles, so have I done for you. Then use my gift as he did to conquer. And when you've brought down your Amazon, write on the trophy, Ovid was my guide. Now the girls, hello there, are begging me for lessons. The next part of this poem will be yours. Book 3. I've armed Greeks against Amazons, now I must fashion weapons for Penthesilea and her girls. A well-matched fight is best, with victory granted through the favor of kind Venus and Venus's earth-girdling sun. Unfair for naked ladies to meet armed troops. Victory gained that way would disgrace our gallants. But why lend venom to serpents, I hear you ask? Why betray a fold of sheep to the ravening she-wolf? Don't pin the evil reputation of one or two on them all. Judge each girl by her own proper merits. It's true that Helen and Clytemnestra must face sisterly charges from both the sons of Atreus. It's true that what Eriphyle plotted sent Amphiaraus and his horses down, still living, to the Styx. Yet Penelope stayed constant for 10 years, while her husband was at the wars, and 10 more of his wanderings. Look at Protesilaus and Laodamia, who cut short her span on earth to follow the man she loved. Alcestis redeemed Admetus's life by pledging her own, was borne to the grave in his stead. Evadne cried, "Ah, take me, Capaneus, we'll mingle our ashes," and sprang onto the pyre. Virtue herself, by name and fashion, is a lady. Naturally, she has her own followers to please, though my art doesn't call for such strict principles. My little craft can manage with smaller sails. Only wanton passions are learnt through me. I'll teach how a woman should be courted. You seldom see the ladies using bows and flaming arrows on their men. Men are often deceivers, girls hardly ever. Inquiries will prove the feminine cheat a rare bird indeed. Medea, already a mother, was dumped by perfidious Jason for another bride. As far as Theseus knew, deserted Ariadne had long been food for gulls on that lonely beach. How did Nine Ways get its title? How did the very woods come to shed their leaves and weep for Phyllis? Remember that guest with the reputation for piety? He left poor Dido a sword and a motive for suicide. What ruined all these ladies? Erotic ineptitude, lack of technique. It takes a technique to make love last, and they'd still be inept had Venus not appeared to me in a vision, made it clear that my job was to teach them. Poor girls, she said, what have they done, weak defenseless lot, to be thrown to the armed male wolves? 2 books you've written instructing men in the game. High time the opposite sex got benefit from your counsels. Stesichorus cursed Helen to begin with, but ended, better luck for him, singing her praises. If I know you, you'll be seeking their favor till the day you die, so don't go mean on them now. With that, she gave me a leaf from the garland of myrtle binding her hair and a few of the berries. Taking them, I sensed her numinous power. Air shone more brightly, my heart rose buoyant and carefree. While my inspiration lasts, then, take lessons from me, girls, those of you whom the law and modesty and your code will permit. Be mindful of creeping old age. Don't waste precious time. Have fun while you can in your salad days. The years glide past like a moving stream, and the water that's gone can never be recovered. The lost hour never returns. Use your youth to the full. Youth vanishes too swiftly, and what follows can never match that first freshness. The beds of violet I remember are withered weeds now. These thorns once shaped some charming garland. There will come a time when you who today lock out your lovers will lie cold and old alone in bed. Your door never broken open at brawling midnight. Never at dawn scattered roses bright on your threshold. Too soon, ah horror, flesh goes slack and wrinkled, the clear complexion is lost. Those white streaks you swear date back to your school days suddenly spread. You're gray-haired. A snake husks off old age with its fragile discarded skin. Cast horns leave the stag in its prime. Unaided, a woman's charms will vanish away. Pluck the flower, left unplucked it will wither and fall. Youth's span is shortened yet further by childbirth. Overcropping ages afield. Endymion on Latmos brought no blush to the moon, nor was Cephalus a prize for which Aurora, the roseate dawn, felt any shame. Though mourning Venus be granted her Adonis, who was it sired Harmonia and Aeneas? So, mortal women, follow the goddess's example, don't deny such pleasure to eager lovers. They'll deceive you, why worry, life holds firm. Let them come to the well 1,000 times, nothing's lost. Iron and flint are diminished, worn down by use, but that part endures without fear of loss. Who'd forbid us to kindle our lamp from a proffered flame? Who'd hoard the boundless deep at sea? So why should any woman say no? Tell me why. All you waste is douche water. I'm not encouraging promiscuous conduct, just warning you not to be scared of shadows. Your favors forfeit you nothing. We're still in the harbor. Let me catch the light breeze, leave strong winds for outside. I begin with self-cultivation. You get the best vintage from well-cared-for grapes. The wheat grows tallest in well-dug fields. True beauty's a gift of the gods. Few can boast they possess it. And most of you, my dears, don't. Hard work will improve the picture. Neglect your looks, and they'll go to pot, even though you're a second Venus. Young girls didn't cultivate their persons in the old days, true, but they didn't have cultured men to live up to. Andromache wore a simple smock of sacking, and why not? She was the wife of a rough soldier. If you'd been married to Ajax, would you dress up for a man who went around behind 7 layers of oxhide? Crude simplicity's old-fashioned. Rome's all gold now, possesses the vast wealth of the conquered world. Consider the capital, past and present. You'd think today's version belonged to a different god. Our Senate, august assembly, now boasts a worthy chamber, first built in Tatius's reign, of wattle and daub, the Palatine, where Apollo and our princes now lord it, once pastured oxen for the plough. Let others worship the past. I much prefer the present, am delighted to be alive today. Not for the stubborn gold we mine, or the rare shells gathered for our delight from foreign shores, not for the marble quarried from crumbling mountains, the palaces pier built over the bay, but for refinement and culture, which have banished the tasteless crudities of our ancestors. So, don't burden your ears with precious pearls, once dived for by dusky natives in green tropic seas. Don't come out wearing dresses that sag with the weight of gold sewn on them. Wealth displayed to allure us may often repel. What attracts us is elegance, so don't neglect your hairstyle. Looks can be made or marred by a skillful touch. Nor will one style suit all. There are innumerable fashions, and each girl should look in her glass before choosing what suits her reflection. Long features go best with a plain central parting. That's how Laodamia's hair was arranged. A round-faced lady should pile all her hair on top, leaving the ears exposed. One girl should wear it down on her shoulders like Apollo about to play the lyre. Another should braid it in the style of the huntress Diana, when she's after some frightened beast, skirt hitched up. Some need to keep it loose and windswept, others to pin it back. Some like tortoiseshell combs, some prefer to brush it out in soft flowing waves. But you can't count all the acorns on an oak's branches, or Hybla's bees, or wild beasts in the Alps. And I can't be comprehensive about hair fashions when every day brings out a chic new style. Besides, the neglected look suits many girls. Quite often you'd think it untouched since yesterday, though in fact it's fresh combed. Art simulates chance. When Heracles entered that fallen city and caught one glimpse of Iole's wild curls, "That's the girl for me," he exclaimed. So windblown Ariadne was whirled off by Bacchus to loud cheers from his satyrs. Nature's too kind to feminine beauty. Women have so many ways to offset defects. We men are stripped bare relentlessly, just as a north wind brings down the leaves, so our hair falls out with age. But a woman can use imported rinses to touch up those white streaks, produce a better than natural tint. A woman goes out in a built-up purchased pastiche, replaces her own hair with a wig, cast down and unblushingly. Boutiques display them under Hercules' nose, right beside the Muse's shrine. A word, I suppose, about dress. I have no time for flounces or purple-dyed woolen fabrics. When you've the choice of so many cheaper colors, it's just plain madness to carry such an investment on your back. There's pale sky blue, like the cloudless vault of heaven on a warm spring day, with no western breeze blowing up the rain, or light gold like the rescuer of Phrixus and Helle from Eno's deep-sea wiles, or the color that's like a wave, sea green, named after the green itself, the deep itself, fit garb for the nymphs. There's saffron, the dewy dawn goddess is veiled in a saffron robe as she drives up her light-bringing horses. There's myrtle leaf, there's amethyst purple, rose white, the gray of a Thracian crane. Chestnut, your turn, Amaryllis. Almond blossom, the beeswax brown of a fleece. As many as or more than the flowers that blossom in springtime, when warm weather puts buds on the vines, when barren winters fled, are the dyes that wool will imbibe. So pick the right ones. Not all of them go well on every girl. Dark gray suits pale complexions. Gray suited Briseis. She even wore gray into captivity. A swarthy skin does better in white. Andromeda's white-clad beauty drove jealous gods to punish her island home. I was about to warn you against rank goatish armpits and bristling hair on your legs, but I'm not instructing hillbilly girls from the Caucasus, or Mysian river hodens. So what need to remind you not to let your teeth get all discolored through neglect, or forget to wash your hands every morning. You know how to brighten your complexion with powder, add rouge to a bloodless face, skillfully block in the crude outline of an eyebrow, stick a patch on one flawless cheek. You don't shrink from lining your eyes with dark mascara or a touch of Cilician saffron. My little tract on facial treatment lists the most effective preparations. It may be short, but no end of hard work went into it. It's full of tips for restoring faded beauty. My art is active on your behalf. But don't let your lover find all those jars and bottles on your dressing table. The best makeup remains unobtrusive. A face so thickly plastered with pancake it runs down your sweaty neck is bound to create repulsion. And that goo from unwashed fleeces, Athenian maybe, but my dear, the smell. That's used for face cream. Avoid it. When you have company, don't dab stuff on your pimples, don't start cleaning your teeth. The result may be attractive, but the process is sickening. Much that is vile in the doing gives pleasure when done. A statue, signed, let's say, by that industrious sculptor Myron, began as a mere lump of deadweight marble. The gold for your ring must first be worked and shaped. Your woolen dress was made from greasy yarn. That splendid representation of Venus posed naked, wringing out her sea-wet hair, was a rough and uncut stone once. So leave us to imagine you're asleep while you're at your toilet. Only emerge when the public picture's complete. I don't want to know how that complexion's built up. Shut your door, don't reveal the half-finished process. Most of your actions would offend if you didn't conceal them. There's a lot men are better not knowing. Look closely at those splendid gold statues adorning the theater. Thin gilded foil on a wooden frame. That's why the public can't come near them till they're finished, and that's why you should keep men out while you're making up. Still, I don't forbid you to let them watch you comb your rippling hair out down your back. But mind you don't lose your temper as you tear out those tangled knots. Don't vent your spleen on your lady's maid. I detest a girl who claws the poor creature's face or stabs her arm with a needle. The victim will curse her mistress's head while she dresses it, and while she bleeds, drop tears over the hated tresses. If you've difficult hair, keep a guard on your boudoir door, or have your styling done in a ladies-only temple. I once called on some woman who wasn't expecting me. In her hurry, she fixed her wig on back to front. May such cause for embarrassment undo only my enemies. May this disgrace afflict none but wild Parthian girls. There's nothing so ugly as hornless cattle, bald fields, bare bushes, or a head sans hair. Who are my clients? Not Semele, not Leda, not Phoenician Europa, cruising off on that pseudo-bull's broad back. Or Helen, understandably, Menelaus wanted her back. Understandably, Paris kept his prize for himself. It's the ordinary run of women, pretty or plain, who consult me. The plain always outnumber the pretty. What help or instruction do beauties require from art? They have their own potent dowry, natural good looks. When it's calm, the captain relaxes, but in a storm all hands are piped. A flawless face is a rarity. Mark each blemish, hide your physical faults, as far as you can. Sit if you're short, lest standing you seem to be sitting. Stretch out that pint-sized form, recline on a couch, but discourage rude measurement by spreading a wrap or blanket across your legs. The over-lean girl should wear more amply textured dresses, a robe that's draped loose from her shoulders. Puce stripes offset a pallid complexion, while nilotic linen transforms the swarthy. Got ugly feet? Just keep them hidden in smart white booties. Scrawny calves? Don't raise your skirt above the ankle. Protruding collarbones? Mask them with pads. Is your trouble a flat bust? Wear a good bra. If you have rough nails, coarse fingers, don't gesture too much while you talk. Bad breath? You should never converse on an empty stomach, and keep your mouth well back from your lover's face. If your teeth are decayed, or horsey, or protruding, a guffaw can cost you dear. Believe it or not, girls even learn how to laugh. In their quest for decorum, there is one more skill they must acquire. Don't open the mouth too wide, control those dimples, keep your teeth concealed behind your lips. Don't split your sides with endless hilarity, but rather laugh in a restrained, a ladylike way. Some women distort their features with lopsided guffaws, some get so cross-eyed with mirth you'd swear they were weeping. Others utter a harsh, unlovely braying noise, like a she-ass hitched to the mill. Where does art not enter? Girls learn to make even tears attractive, to cry when and how they please. Indeed, some mispronounce words with deliberate affectation, bring them lispingly off the tongue. Charm lurks in such errors of consciously faulty diction. What grace of speech they soon unlearn. These hints are useful, so pay them proper attention, and mind you learn to walk in a feminine way. No mean part of elegance derives from gait and carriage. These can attract or repel admiring strangers. One girl sways her hips artfully, catches the breeze with her flowing mantle, points her feet in short dainty steps. Another, like some red-cheeked peasant housewife, clumps and waddles along with hearty strides. Moderation's best, as so often. Don't play the country bumpkin, but equally don't lay your affectations on too thick. No harm, though, in baring your left-hand shoulder and upper arm. For those with a milk-white skin, this works wonders. Just let me see it, and I'm mad to press kisses on the naked flesh. The sirens, those sea monsters with their delectable voices, would draw in the swiftest ships. At the round of them Ulysses almost struggled loose from the ropes that tied him. His comrades' ears were stopped with wax. Oh, music seductive. Girls should take singing lessons. For many, it's the voice, not the face, that plays bawd. You should know the latest vaudeville numbers, the slinkiest hits from the Nile. Any girl I'd call accomplished must know how to play a stringed instrument, handle a quill. Orpheus moved rocks and beasts with his lyre, held Tartarus spellbound, tamed hell's three-headed dog. When Amphion played, he who so nobly avenged his mother, the stones of Thebes moved with a will, sprang into walls. A dolphin, though dumb, responded to human music, or so the famous tale of Arion alleges. Learn to play the two-handed Phoenician harp as well. For a party it's ideal. Have a smattering of poets, Callimachus, Coon, Philetus, wine-flown Anacreon. Don't forget Sappho. What, I ask you, could be more wanton? Or Menander's sugar daddies, always gulled by some tricksy slave. Be able to quote Propertius, Tibullus, or Gallus in sentimental mood. Learn passages from Epic, the high-flown Golden Fleece by Varro, Poor Healy, or what else, Virgil's Aeneid. Those Wanderings, Great Rome's Origins, the most publicized Latin poem of all time. Perhaps, too, my own name will be included among theirs, and my works escape oblivion. Maybe some pundit will say, "Here, read our maestro's polished advice on love, for both sexes," or choose some pieces from the 3 books of his Amores to declaim in a soft, enchanting voice. Or, for dramatic recitation, one of the heroine's letters, an art form he invented himself. So granted, Apollo, you spirits of bygone poets, O Bacchus, O Muses, make it all come true. Of course, I also insist that a girl should be a dancer, trained to shimmy delectably while the wine goes round after dinner. Lead actresses, ballerinas, these are idolized for their sinuous charms. Some minor points I'm almost ashamed to mention. Let her know how to play board games, to roll the bones, and skillfully planning her throws in advance, deciding at which point to hazard a piece, just when to huff. The contest of Halma should find her cunning rather than reckless, when her pieces are taken by a two-pronged attack, when her fighting men are exposed and struggling in isolation against a foe who comes back and back again at her weakest point. She should have a sure hand for jackstraws, lift endless spillikins, never disturb the pile. Then there's that other piece game, the kind of backgammon played on a 12-point board. 12 points, 12 months in a year, or merrills like noughts and crosses with marbles. 3 in a row to win. Countless pastimes await you. Too bad if a girl doesn't know how to play. Games often provide a quick lead into love. But using your throws to the best advantage is of minor importance. What matters is self-control. This is when we lack caution, when our very zest betrays us, and our true self shows naked, all for a game. Ugly anger creeps upon us, lust for a cash killing, quarrels and brawls, anxiety, despair, accusations fly to and fro, the air's acclaimer, angry, all gods are invoked around. But there's no trusting those tables. The things that players will pray for, they'll even quite often, I've seen them, dissolve in tears. If you want men to find you attractive, may the gods in heaven keep you well clear of all such disgusting tricks. These, then, are the sports that indolent nature has given to women. Men have a richer choice. They can play fast handball, throw the javelin or discus, fence in armor, show jump a horse. But you ladies aren't seen in the field of Mars. You don't use the athlete's cold baths. You don't swim in the Tiber. Where you can stroll to your profit of a scorching August noonday is under those shady acres down Pompey's colonnade. Visit the Palatine, sacred to belaureled Apollo, whose power sank Cleopatra's fleet. See the monuments raised by our leader's wife and sister. See his son-in-law, head wreathed with naval renown, genuflect at the increased incense-wreathed altars of the Memphian cow. Visit Visit all three theaters, get front row seats, patronize the circus, see hot blood splash the arena. Watch a close-run chariot race, out of sight's out of mind. What you don't know, you can't covet. Fruitless, the pretty face that goes alone. Though you can outsing every legendary prima donna, music unheard gives little joy. If Apelles of Kos had never contrived that pose for Venus, she'd still be hidden deep under the ocean. What else do our dedicated poets pursue but fame? This is the goal of all our labors. Poets were once the chosen of gods and monarchs. In olden times, their choirs won great rewards, high honor, a venerable title. These a bard had, plus large and regular cash donations. Take Ennius, born a Calabrian peasant, yet interred in the Scipio family vault because of his art. Today, though, the ivy lies unhonored, and a life of poetic toil gets you labeled a drone. Still, to slave for recognition does help. If the Iliad, that immortal work, had never been published, who'd have heard of Homer, or of Danae, if she'd reached old age still shut away in her tower? You pretty girls need your public, so mind your parade around the town as often as you can make it. The wolf, to seize one sheep, will pursue the whole flock. An eagle plummets down into a flight of birds. So the beauty must court her public. Perhaps, among so many, she'll find one man worth attracting. To get run after means full time on the party circuit, means concentrating her whole mind on projecting that glamour. Besides, luck's a constant factor, so keep your hook dangling. You'll catch a fish from the stream you'd least expect. Often hounds will range the mountain thickets in vain, and then a stag will plunge into the toils undriven. Could shackled Andromeda ever have dreamt her tears would attract a lover? But then loose hair and abandoned weeping are sexy. Her husband's funeral is often where your widow looks out for the next man. But keep clear of smart young beaux who make elegance a profession, flaunt handsome profiles, are always fixing their hair. The tale they tell you they've told to 1,000 girls already. They're fancy-free, never stick to a constant love. What's a woman to do when her lover's smoother than she is, and probably has more men on the side as well? It's hard to believe, but true, that Troy would still be standing if the Trojans had followed poor Cassandra's advice. Some make their assault behind a false mask of passion, use such approaches to snatch, at shameful gain. Don't be deceived by their hair all sleek and perfumed, their tight-laced shoe tongues, the stuff of their togas, so finely textured, the rings that glitter, 1, 2, or more on their fingers. The most elegant dandy among them may well be a sneak thief consumed with love for your dress, not your person. That's mine, give it back, the victims clamor. Give it back, while the public square re-echoes their complaints, while Venus from her gilded temple, and from their fountain the Appian nymphs look on unmoved. Some men have notorious reputations, many have ditched a mistress. Learn in time, from some other girl's cries of distress, to beware the prospect of getting distressed yourself. Don't open that door to some treacherous male. Don't believe the perjured oaths of Theseus, Athenian maids, whose deities he invokes he long since forswore, and his son Demophoon, heir to bad blood and broken faith. What girl would trust him after he left poor Phyllis? Match promise with promise. If they keep their word, then you can come through too. That girl could snuff the undying Vestal fire, loot Isis's temple of its sacred gear, or slip her lover a mixture of aconite and hemlock, who denies her favors after taking gifts. I must concentrate my theme more. Muse, rein in there. Quit your headlong gallop down the course. A lover should pave the way with letters. Make sure you detail a trustworthy maid to act as your go-between. Examine each message, deduce from his own expressions whether it's faked or written with genuine heartfelt distress. Wait a little before you reply. A lover's honed up by delay, provided it's not too long. Don't yield too easily to a lover's entreaties, but equally don't overdo those stubborn refusals. Scare him, yet leave him hopeful. Let each letter reduce his fear, increase his hopes. A girl should write elegantly, but in everyday language. Familiar phrases have their own appeal. How often a hesitant lover takes fire from letters, and how often a barbarous style will undo the prettiest writer. Even though you're not married, you're anxious to fool your men. So have slave boy or handmaid write your letters for you. Don't compromise yourself with each new beau. Only a cad, it's true, would hang on to such proofs of passion, but as evidence they pack a thunderbolt punch. I've seen girls, pale with terror, submitting wretched creatures to blackmail for life, all because of a letter. In my view, to counter fraud by fraud is permitted. The law will sanction arms for self-defense against an armed attack. So practice writing in a number of different hands. Bad cess to those who make such advice essential. And take care always to erase the wax completely before you use it. Avoid any legible trace of a previous message. Transmute the sex of your lover whenever you mention him. Write her instead. Now, if I may, I'll turn from such lesser matters to more serious themes, spread full my swelling sails. A pretty face should control mad fits of temper. Radiant peace is for men, raw fury marks the beast. Anger swells up your countenance, veins throb and darken with pulsing blood. An ultra-gorgonish fire darts from your eyes. When Pallas looked into the river and saw her puckered expression, "Away with you, flute," she cried, "you're not worth it." Take a glass to your tantrums, and which of you would recognize your own familiar features? It does just as much harm to look haughty. A gentle expression will best encourage love. I detest, and believe me, I know it, the over-disdainful air. Too often a silent face holds the seeds of hatred. Return his smiles and glances. If he beckons, acknowledge the gesture with a nod. After such foreplay, Cupid, the foils abandoned, empties his quiver of its keen darts. What else? Glum girls are a bore. Leave Ajax to love Tecmessa. We men are a cheerful breed. It's bright girls who best charm us. If I were choosing my mistress, Andromache or Tecmessa would never be my choice. I find it hard to believe they ever slept with their masters, though their parturitions inform me I must be wrong. Could that dreary woman, I ask you, have ever called Ajax my darling, or warmed his heart with lovers' words? Who'll veto my trick of using great matters as examples to illustrate small? Why shun the leader's name? Just as our good leader makes X a squadron commander, Y a centurion, entrust the colors to Z, so do you, too. Consider how we can serve your advantage, then place each one of us in his proper slot. Let the rich man give you presents, the professional lawyer be on call to defend you in court with skill and eloquence. We, the poet, should stick to sending you poems. As a group, we're preeminent at dealing with love. Far and wide, we can broadcast the loved one's beauty. Think of Nemesis, Cynthia, both household names. Lands in the east and west know of Lycoris. Countless people keep asking me who my Corinna is. What's more, there's no place in a poet for stratagems and deceptions. Vocation and art combine to fashion forth his essential nature. We stay untouched by ambition or love of profit, despise the forum, prefer a couch in the shade. But we're easily hooked. We burn with vehement passions, and know too well how to give unswerving love. Our natures are made more pliant by our gentle art. An attitude to life grows from our studies. So girls, be generous with poets. They're the muses' darlings, contain a divine spark. God is in us, we have dealings with heaven. Our inspiration descends from celestial realms. It's a crime to look for presents to such skilled bards, but a crime I very much fear which no girl shuns. But don't look openly rapacious. Dissemble a little. If he glimpses the net, a raw lover will balk. No horseman would use the same bridle on a fresh broken colt and a well-trained hack. Nor should you follow the same methods to capture stable maturity or green youth. This raw recruit, a novice in love's campaigns who's made it your latest victim through the bedroom door. Make sure he knows you alone, cleaves to none other. Plant high hedges all around, so tender a crop. Shun rivals, just keep him to yourself and you'll win the day. Love like a king's throne cannot share its rights. Your old soldier will come to loving cautiously, by decrees. Will put up with much no recruit would endure. Will not break down doors or burn them. Will not go for a mistress's soft cheeks with his nails. Will not rip up her or his clothing. Will not make her weep by tearing out her hair. Such things may be expected from young blades hot in passion, but a veteran will bear the worst of wounds with steadfast heart, will burn with slow smoldering heat like damp hay, or green timber freshly cut on the mountain slopes. His love is more sure, the other richer, but brief, pluck such transient fruit before it's gone. We've unbolted the gates to the foe, let's make a general surrender, in faithless betrayal keep our faith. What's easily given ill nourishes any long-term passion. Should mix in the odd rebuff with your cheerful fun. Shut him out of the house, let him wait there cursing that locked front door, let him plead and threaten all he's a mind to. Sweetness cloys the palate, bitter juice is a refreshener. Often a small skiff is sunk by favoring winds. It's their husband's access to them at will that deprives so many wives of love. Let her put in a door with a hard-faced porter to tell him keep out, and he'll soon be touched with desire through frustration. Put down your blunt foils, fight with sharpened weapons. I don't doubt that my own shafts will be turned against me. When a new captured lover is stumbling to the toils, then let him believe he alone has rights to your bed. But later, make him conscious of rivals, of shared delights. Neglect these devices, his ardor will wane. A racehorse runs most strongly when the field's ahead, to be paced and passed. So the dying embers of passion can be fanned to fresh flame by some outrage. I can only love, myself, I confess it, when wronged. But don't let the cause of pain be too obvious. Let a lover suspect more than he knows. Invent a slave who watches your every movement. Make clear what a jealous martinet that man of yours is. Such things will excite him. Pleasure, too, safely enjoyed, lacks zest. You want to be free as Thais? Act scared. Though the door's quite safe, let him in by the window. Look nervous. Have a smart maid rush in, scream, "We're caught," while you bundle the quaking youth out of sight. But be sure to offset his fright with some moments of carefree pleasure, or he'll think a night with you isn't worth the risk. I was going to omit the ways of eluding a crafty husband or vigilant guard. Let the bride respect her husband. Let the brides be guarded securely. That's proper. Modesty, law, and our leader so prescribe. But watch you, a woman still scarcely used to her freedom? Intolerable. Let me instruct you in all the ways of deceit, and then, if you're properly determined, with as many watchers around as Argus had eyes, you'll outsmart them all. Can a guard stop you writing letters when you're shut in the bathroom? Will he find all the places where your girl accomplice can hide them? Tablets snugly tucked in a bra? A package of papers strapped to one calf? A seductive message slipped between sandal and foot? If such tricks become known to the guardian, use your confidante's body for paper. Scribble a note on her back. Then there's invisible writing in milk. When you want to read it, just spread powdered carbon over the wax. A reliable deception. Or write in moist oil of linseed. The seemingly blank tablet will preserve your hidden words. Think of Danae's father and all the trouble he took to protect his daughter, yet she contrived to make him a grandfather. The city's full of theaters. Girls love the races. What can a guardian do? Say she worships Egyptian Isis and goes where no watchful male may follow, clashing her sistrum? What about the good goddess banning men from her temple except her own chosen adherents? The public baths provide plenty of private fun for girls, while their guardians sit outside in charge of their clothes. How cope with the sharp girlfriend who's ill on demand, but never too ill to vacate her bed for the length of a visit? How counter those duplicate and duplicitous passkeys? How block the door and all those other ways in? A guardian's wits can be fuddled with plenty of wine. Cheap stuff, any Spanish rotgut will do. There are knockout potions, drugs to induce deep sleep, or your confidant can seduce the hateful creature, keep him occupied, spin out time. But what's the point of such unimportant digressions when any guard can be bought with a trifling bribe? Bribes, believe me, will purchase gods no less than mortals. Even Jupiter can be placated by gifts. What's the wise man to do? When fools enjoy such presents, why not accept the offering? Hold your tongue. But you'll need to purchase your guardian on a long-term basis. The favors he bestows he'll repeat ad lib. I remember once complaining that you had to watch out for your friends. It's not men alone to whom this applies. If you show yourself over-trustful, other women will reap your pleasures. The hare you started, they'll hunt. Watch that girl with the spare bedroom who's so eager to help you. Believe me, I've been in there more than once, and don't have a maid who's too pretty. She's often usurped her mistress's role with me. I must be going crazy on like this. Why charge bare-breasted against the foe? Why testify to my own betrayal? Game birds don't notify the fowler where he can take them. No hind sets a savage prick on her own trail. Damn advantage, I'll stick to my purpose. Arm the girls with Limnian swords, expose my heart to their thrusts. Just make us believe we're loved. A simple assignment. Desire is quick to kindle faith in what it seeks. Let a woman glance sweetly at her lover, sigh deeply, ask him why he's so late, then start crying. Pretend to be cross about some rival, claw his face with her nails. That'll convince him in no time. He'll soon start feeling sorry for her, say, "Why the poor little thing, she's just crazy about me." And if he's smart, if his mirror flatters his profile, then he thinks goddesses too will compete for his favors. But however badly he wrongs you, don't look put out. When there's talk of some other girl, keep calm, don't jump to conclusions. Just how dangerous snap judgments can be, the story of Procris should demonstrate. High under flowery Hymettus' violet hillside flows a sacred spring. Soft earth, lush turf, a little spinney of trailing arbutus, dark myrtle, rosemary, scented bay, thick burgeoning boxwood, the brittle tamarisk, slender lucerne, domestic pines, a gentle stir and rustle of warm spring breezes through that variegated leafage, an airy caress blown over the grass. Here Cephalus came to enjoy his siesta, hounds and huntsmen abandoned. Here he'd stretch out when weary. "Come hither," he'd cried. "Come, changeable aura. Come to my bosom, relieve my sultry heat." Some stupid tattling busybody remembered this utterance, told it to Cephalus' wife. Poor Procris thought Aura was the name of a rival. She fainted, struck dumb with sudden grief, turned pale as late vine leaves, caught by a winter's onset, when the clustering grapes have been picked, or ripe quinces, bending the bough they hang from, or cornel berries while they're still unfit to eat. When she came round, she rent her flimsy garments, raked nails down her innocent cheeks, and at once rushed out down the street, hair all disheveled like a Thyrsus-crazed Maenad. When she got near the spot, she left her companions in the valley and tiptoed bravely into the woods, alone. What went on in your mind as you lurked there, jealous crazy, Procris? What fire consumed your the frantic heat? Any moment she'd come now, this Aura, you thought, whoever she might be, and you'd see their shame with your own eyes. Now you regretted coming, you never wanted to catch him at it. Now you were glad, as love spun for you every which way. Name, place, informer, all urged belief, and always, what the maid fears may be true, it thinks is true. When she saw the flattened grass where a body had lain, her heart beat fast in her trembling bosom. By now it was noon, the shadows shrunken at the midpoint between dawn and dusk. And look, mercurial Cephalus came back through the woodlands, rinsed his hot face in the spring, where Procris lay hidden, taut, anxious. He settled down in his usual grass bed. "Soft zephyrs, gentle aura, blow on me," he called. Poor girl, when she grasped her more than welcome misunderstanding. The color flowed back to her face and the sense to her brain. Up she sprang, thrashed through the foliage, a wife making a beeline for her beloved's arms. He, thinking the movements a beast, with youthful swiftness, jackknifed to his feet, spear poised. "You fool, where are you at? That's no beast, hold back your weapon. Too late, ah God, you've hit her, the shaft's through your girl." "My love," he whispered, "you've pierced this loving heart of mine yet again, the last of so many wounds from Cephalus. Though I pass untimely, no rivals displace me. That will make the earth lie light on my bones. Now the breeze that I mistrusted gathers my yielding spirit. I faint, I'm gone. Close my eyes with your dear hand." He clasped her dying body to his, rained tears on the cruel wound, and as the last breath ebbed from her, poor rash lady, the lips of her sad lover gathered it end. Enough of digressions. If I'm to steer my weary vessel safe into harbor, I needs must tackle the bare facts of the case. You're anxiously expecting me to escort you to parties. Here, too, you solicit my advice. Arrive late when the lamps are lit. Make a graceful entrance. Delay enhances charm. Delay's a great bawd. Plain you may be, but at night you'll look fine to the tipsy. Soft lights and shadows will mask your faults. Take your food with dainty fingers. Good table manners matter. Don't besmear your whole face with a greasy paw. Don't eat first at home and nibble, but equally don't indulge your appetite to the full. Leave something in hand. If Paris saw Helen stuffing herself to the eyeballs, he'd detest her. He'd feel her abduction had been a stupid mistake. But drinking, for girls, is another matter. It suits them. Desire and wine go well in tandem. Note, too, that a strong head makes for steady feet and a clear mind, no seeing double. The girl who's passed out drunk is the most disgusting object, deserves to be laid by anyone in sight. And falling asleep when the table's cleared is just as risky. Pudendal things befall a snoozing girl. What's left I blush to tell you, but kindly Venus claims as uniquely hers all that raises a blush. Each woman should know herself, pick methods to suit her body. One fashion won't do for all. Let the girl with a pretty face lie supine, let the lady who boasts a good back be viewed from behind. Melanion bore Atalanta's legs on his shoulders. Nice legs should always be used this way. The petite should ride horse. Andromache, Hector's Theban bride, was too tall for these games. No jockey she. If you're built like a fashion model with willowy figure, then kneel on the bed, your neck a little arched. The girl who has perfect legs and bosom should lie sideways on, and make her lover stand. Don't blush to unbind your hair like some ecstatic maenad and tumble long tresses about your upcurved throat. If childbirths seam your belly with wrinkles, then offer a rear engagement Parthian style. Sex has countless positions. An easy and undemanding one is to lie on your right side half reclining. Neither Delphi nor Ammon will tell you more truth than my muse. Long experience, if anything, should establish credit. Trust my art, and let these verses speak for themselves. A woman should melt with passion to her very marrow. The act should give equal pleasure to them both. Heap up a flow of seductive, whispered endearments. Use sexy taboo words while you're making love. And if nature's denied you the gift of achieving a climax, moan as though you were coming, put on an act. The girl who can't feel down there is really unlucky, missing out on what both sexes should enjoy. Only take care that you make your performance convincing. Thrash about in a frenzy, roll your eyes, let your cries and gasping breath suggest what pleasure you're getting. That part has its own private signs. After the pleasures of sex, though, don't try to dun your lover for a present. Such habits defeat their own ends. And don't open all the bedroom windows. Much of your body is better left unseen. Our sport is ended. High time to quit this creative venture. Turn loose the swans that drew my poet's car. As once the young men, so now let my girl disciples inscribe their trophies. Ovid was my guide.